We have things that we need to do in our business. We are growing our business, but it cannot revolve around us. That's the problem. If it revolves around you, you hit a ceiling. And Steven's done a great job growing his business. And more importantly, he's done a great job bringing on phenomenal team members. And so we wanted to have the conversation about how do you find and acquire and train and run your business with phenomenal team members, because I think it's a really important topic.
And so they're closing out customers. Yeah, there's 10% gets escalated, but that's how we alleviated operations to have work-life balance, right? And so this has been a crucial thing for that. The next day, they're auditing every job. So my nighttime dispatcher's auditing every job from front to finish, and they're giving us a report of what we need to talk about in what I call the awareness meeting.
The main role of a ready role assistant or an executive assistant is for the executive or for their clients to have more time to improve their lifestyle. This is what I've learned and I've seen, and to bring back more time and reach their ultimate goal in life. If they want to have more time with family, less time with their business, that's the ultimate goal of a ready role assistant. But for a ready role assistant to get to that goal and to help you have more time, bring back time in your life, improve your lifestyle, for the relationship between you and your ready role assistant to work, you as an executive, you need to give time for your assistant to get to know you.
Welcome everybody to a nice blistery cold Friday in November. We've got Mia and Steven here, so I appreciate you guys being here today. We're gonna let some time come in and let everyone get here before we roll right into it. So in the meantime,
how many jackets do you own, Travis, to be prepared for this kind of weather?
I own quite a few.
Really?
Only a few currently fit, unfortunately. I've broadened my shoulders a little bit, I like to say. So yeah. But yeah, so great. We got lots of people coming in. This is great.
Nice.
Mia, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you also for the invite.
Yeah, where do you live at?
I live in the Philippines, in the capital, Metro Manila.
Manila. Okay, cool. I've been to
Yes.
Manila one time, and
Nice.
I loved it. We ended up driving up north. I think there was a Spanish town. What's the Spanish town where there's like an outdoor
Ilocos.
Ilocos. So we went to Ilocos,
Yeah.
and then we went to, it starts with a B, maybe, where all the windmills are at.
Batanes.
Yes, and we went there, and then
Yeah.
we did like the sand dune go-karting
Oh,
or whatever.
yes. Yep.
So
That's
that was
very nice place.
that was really fun. Really enjoyed that. And then is Boracay in Philippines?
No, it's in the Philippines, but in the Visayas.
Yeah. So then we went to Boracay after that. So fun time. What time is it there? I've got to ask.
It's 1 a.m.
Oh, 1 a.m.
Yes.
Is it tough working overnight? Or are you like totally used to it?
I'm used to it. I've been working in the night shift for I think a little bit more than 10 years. So yeah, the whole family works in the night shift. My husband works in the night shift. My siblings work in the night shift. So it's the norm here.
Yeah. That's so great. Well, thanks for being here. How's Steven
thank
as a
you.
boss? We all want to know.
I do have an NDA.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Good answer.
It's too
Steve
good.
is great. Steve is great. It's nice working. I learn a lot from him, honestly, especially in this industry. So yeah, I really appreciate being part of Steve's team.
I love it.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
well, thanks
You
for
go out of bounds on the NDA at all there.
Yeah.
Good answer there.
yeah, exactly. You will get your next paycheck, which is great.
That's right.
I've got my nicotine and I've got my caffeine ready to go, guys.
There you
So
go.
I'll get ready to go. Let's do this. Mia, if you don't mind sharing your screen, we'll jump into it. Everyone, let's all say hi to each other. If you don't mind putting in the chat where you're from, and if it's cold where you're at, because it is cold where we are at today. I'd love to see where everyone is at and what your temperature's like here. How do I get
It's
the
67 degrees here in Memphis, and I'm celebrating. I feel like we're carrying over one a little bit right now. I'm in shorts, but I'm not in my hanger, if you will.
well, you can tell. Look, you'll just fly with the peasants. It's fine.
That's right. That's right.
Do we have a chat that's live here? Oh, there's the chat.
Oh, there's Garrett. Hey, Garrett.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Good, warm. Arizona
Oh.
65, Colorado 45. That is freezing.
Tyler.
Queen Creek, Birmingham, Alabama, balmy 68.
Yeah, Tyler
Nate.
Shaw. I see some great guys on here.
Awesome. This is great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I wanted Steven to come on and Mia to come on because I wanted us to really just go, okay, we have things that we need to do in our business. We are growing our business, but it cannot revolve around us. That's the problem. If it revolves around you, you hit a ceiling. And Steven's done a great job growing his business. And more importantly, he's done a great job bringing on phenomenal team members. And so we wanted to have the conversation about how do you find and acquire and train and run your business with phenomenal team members? Because I think it's a really important topic. It doesn't matter whether they're living right next door to you or halfway across the world. You've got to find great people and you've got to train them well. You've got to bring them into the team and you have to have them create value in your business. And so that's what we're going to go through today. I'm really excited. Mia and Steven, thank you so much for being here. I'll let you guys just take it away, just so everybody knows how this will go. You've got the chat. You've got the Q&A. Put in the Q&A and in the chat any questions you have. I'll be pulling from those questions. Mia and Steven, I do interrupt. I apologize already. I will interrupt. I will ask some questions and I will engage, but I'll let you guys take it away and run with it. Does that work for you guys?
You
Yep.
can't out interrupt an interrupter. So we're gonna have some fun today, Travis.
I love it. Well, perfect. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go ahead and take it away.
Well, guys, I guess Travis asked me to be here. I'll give you a little backstory on me. He knows my story. I like to say at stage of my business that really hit me like a wall is I realized halfway through my 17 career here that this wasn't my plan when I started, and the business had grown me, and I didn't grow it. And so at that point, I said to myself, I have to change things. I had an Atlanta location, I had a Memphis location. I never wanted to leave Memphis. If you follow me on Movified or have talked to me, I love Memphis. Memphis is my heart. And the business grew me to where I took my new family to Atlanta and changed their lives. And so I stopped at one point where I have a newborn. I stopped and I said, hey, I got to put the fire hose down. Right. I got to change something. I'm working for my family and I don't see my family. I'm getting to work. I'm leaving work at 1 a.m. I'm getting to work at 4 a.m. And that's no exaggeration. I just had a stage of my life with a newborn and I was doing that. And so I took a stop and I said, I have to change things. I have to get this company. I want to fire sell Atlanta. It's an amazing thing I got, but it wasn't. I wanted to be a hometown dominator. And I said, how can I change this? And I started thinking about ways differently. And I started venturing into a world of virtual assistants to help me out as I scaled this company. So that's why Travis asked me to talk on the topic. I'm excited because I get to bring one of my engines behind me. I paid Travis handsomely to give me a big intro to talk about all the companies that I run.
Amen.
But
Got to buy that fuel somehow.
that's right. So Big League Movers, On Deck Deliveries, Ready Rolls. You see me on Movified as a co-host with Mark. I'm able to do all those things, and I'm excited to have Mia come from behind the curtain because her and Lai are the engine that runs these things behind me. And so I've asked her to kind of come on here as the expert as well and talk about what it is to be successful in our seat as a moving company leader, right? And I want her to share a little bit on today's webinar about how we can help make the virtual assistant connection and relationship successful and give her insight with her vast experience. Guys, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of an exercise here and just in the next tab, pull up in a window and Google Mia Juan, right? And you'll see that who we're talking to today is the expert, has a following and has a passion of having a relationship between executive virtual assistants in the Philippines and American business owners and teaching them every day. I think you have 217,000 followers on TikTok. I think, Mia, is that correct?
Yes.
And guys, if you have a virtual assistant right now, go ahead and text them, Slack them, and ask them if they know who Mia Juan is. I guarantee you they've learned something from Mia Juan. So I'm so excited for her to come behind the curtain a little bit and talk to you guys. And yeah, let's start the show here. So before, kind of Quentin Tarantino, right? That's my style, guys. Love those movies, but I'm going to give you the end. And then I'm going to tell you how we got here and what key positions and how we did it. And so before, reacting, fires. After, right now, I'm running 24 trucks daily. I'm not micromanaging, right? I have clear systems and my team runs my business without me. So I went from going from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., being a little bit bigger in my one location, and now having control and purpose, and I'm able to guide my business instead of the business guiding me. You can go to the next slide, Mia. All right, so I'm going to talk about 3 roles. So 3 virtual assistant jobs that I think are key to moving company and key to how I grew things. And then we're going to talk about some of the things they do for me at Big League Movers that helped me get to this scale. So the data activator role is a key role, right? The data activator role is also misinterpreted. It is not a salesperson. This person is in charge of lead capture, making sure our speed to lead is under 5 minutes. This person is in charge of outbound calls, checking the data from USA Home Listings, shout out. But cold calling that data, getting appointments for estimators, keeping them flowing with big jobs. And then long term, we're working on business development relationships. How can we get the owner? How can we get the estimator more of a relationship with influencers to our business? The second is, so think of that as an ROI on revenue. That is an instant revenue impact position. Ready Roll Assistant, Executive Assistant position. This is what Mia does for me at Ready Rolls. A lot of people know Lie's the engine at Big League Movers. Lie's my other EA that handles Big League Movers and On Deck with me and my personal stuff. But that's my shield. That's who's watching my back. That's who's learning my systems, has the same passion I do, is a leader for my VA team and watching my VA team. And they're the ones following through with my systems and reporting my blind spots so I can continue to grow my business. So they're making sure all the systems are in place, 5X follow-up, team accountability, making sure my estimators aren't having self-sabotage, right? They're looking out for my organization so I can continue to implement and grow my business. And then the third one is my ops. I could never scale without my ops manager having work-life balance, right? And so I use a VA in the moving industry. This is a kind of a funny name in the industry. A lot of people use it differently, but we use a dispatcher, and they help me make sure dispatch launch is to my standard. They monitor the jobs, think during the day with the customer and the movers. They're doing the closeouts, making sure I'm getting paid and I'm getting a flow with breaks that are hurting me, making sure the job's actually the hours that they are. And they do what I call the game tape review, is they're auditing the job from front to finish. And the next day we're working on things that were not to plan, that we could have executed better. So like a football team, we're watching the tape and we're improving the tape. So those are the 3 roles we're going to kind of go over today.
Real quick before we move on, if Mia, we can go back to that last slide real quick. Of these 3 roles that we're going through today, and you might go through this and you say, Travis, shut up and let me talk. But is there one that you're like, this is the one I would start with, and why? If everyone's listening and they're like, I haven't done this yet, which one do I start with?
I'm extremely passionate about it. It's, I have a company named after it, but it's the Ready Roll Assistant. It's the executive assistant. That's the person who is filling up your gaps, getting you into a structure to do more and be the best for your company.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
If you have time and you're at a small scale where you have time and you're trying to find things to do as an owner, I could suggest you do the data activator role, but you got to understand you have to manage that data activator role, right? And that's a role that gives you instant ROI. So if leads are an issue that kind of help you need a quick bump, the data activator role, you can start, but you have to understand kind of what Mia is going to go over in this slide, how to manage and have that relationship with somebody virtually. So good question. So the data activator role, kind of to run through, we get statuses from USA Home Listings, and when the home status changes, right, we're going to ding that. So that's going to be alarming for us to call that customer with a 1-2 punch and try to book an estimate, not a move. Try to book an estimate for the customer. So virtually, we're not doing the sale. I think that's kind of important to say that in the Philippines, they don't have moving companies like we have, right? And so at the 2 weeks that we onboard and set this up, it takes a little while. If you think a sales rep for moving commonly is 90 days until they start flowing, think about adding something to that for somebody that's never even thought of this as a service, right? And so you got to kind of understand, you don't want them to book a move and call for that. You want them to set you up for an estimate. That activator role also peppers the realtors, right? We're going to follow up too. What's it to us if we annoy a customer who's not going to book us and has no intention to book us, right? So we're going to follow up on those cold calls. We're going to update our software, our systems. We set up, we have it where we set up our estimates, and they set up something. They're going to scout the internet on Zillow and go ahead and put an inventory for the estimator so they can go faster. And then we're going to repeat the process daily. And we want to keep that data activator role protected in their job description. It's focused on revenue, not anything else that takes away from revenue. You could change the slide, Mia.
Oh, wait. No, you can't change that slide just yet.
Okay.
Quick thing. And I want everyone to catch it. I think that was really important. And there's a reason. I'd love for you to share the reason. You mentioned very clearly, like, we're there to not book the move, right? We're going through this process, but to book the estimate. Virtual assistant aside or not, there's a reason for that system and that structure. Do you mind just clarifying that for everyone, just to make it unbelievably clear? What is the reasoning for behind not booking the move, but trying to book the estimate instead?
We want to be fully transparent with the customer, right? And we don't want somebody doing an estimate that's never been involved in the process. That's a very important thing, is that's they're guessing for a long time and learning from losses.
Mm-hmm.
On that, and losses only in that setup. So we want to protect that, get them with our company expert, and get that company expert to be able to do more because of them.
Would you argue there's a smaller, it's a smaller ask as well? So it's kind of like a sales. It's like, hey, come on in and try the free donut, but then I'm going to sell you the lunch, right? It's kind of like, hey, come, just let us do a free estimate. And it's easier for them to say yes than like, I don't even know who you are. You just called me out of the blue.
Absolutely it is. That's a key part of that. Good point out.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, Mia, if you want to slide to the next slide, it's a little bit more detail on it, but tracks home again with status. I've done this for 5 years, and I'll tell you this, I've done this myself with hunger of an owner, right? I've put in my sales guys, sorry if you're watching, I've put in my sales guys to do this, right? And I do not get a result, but I do get a large result with my VA, who's determined to do this, not do the sale as well, not do that combo, but is determined to get more and more appointments interested in our product, right? Calls relentlessly, right? I think that's the difference too. In the Philippines, their goal is to get that call. They have no shame in calling again and again and again, where we have like guilt for whatever reason. We build real relationships. We follow their socials. We're detailed. They're focused on these in that report. So we're keeping them focused on that report, and they're going to be an expert in it. They're going to know what realtors are pushing and what's doing more, and they're going to try to set us up, seeing that's an indicator. And then we update realtors on every move, right? So every move we did yesterday, whether they liked us or not, we're going to send them a message just updating them how the move went, good or bad. Right? Because I see it when we do something wrong, it is an opportunity to get a raving fan. They're going to, hey, how often do I have realtors want to talk to me? Well, if I tell them something happened with a client, I got their attention, and I'm going to use that opportunity space to show that I'm going to make it better. And then I have a relationship with you. So there's a little nugget there on the, when something is always, you don't like, I'm not going to say don't share negative feedback. You want to share that you're on top of it, and it gives you an opportunity to have more relationship with that realtor. So that kind of covers that. Now this is I'll talk about and give Mia the floor a little bit, but this is the ready roll. So you see the slide difference. The last slide is very direct, had little things, right? A little clear. Now this one, just the observation, it's got a lot going on the slide, right? You need a special person that is kind of like your representation and what you want to build in your culture with virtual assistants as you scale. So this is an extremely important position. This is the executive assistant. And we set up an executive assistant and recommend doing executive assistants with the idea of the growth with you and scaling the company is managing other virtual assistant roles as they grow. So their goals is to earn more money, right? Learning more and being like you as an owner, trying to step and fill everything. So they know when that's ready to scale and it's successful, they have an opportunity to manage a virtual assistant role for you and teach them and grow that way. So that's one of the key things that I do. And we'll point out is that onboarding, gaining that relationship, understanding and getting on the same goals with your virtual assistant. But I'll run through my process with executive assistant, and then I want Mia to kind of share what it's like on the other side and what she wishes she could tell all of us as owners, like she does as the influencer for virtual assistants in the Philippines. And so inbox and communication flow, Danae and Travis, they know from experience now, but I'm not in my inbox. I don't check my inbox anymore, and everything's handled better. There's not a bottleneck, right? It goes to the right parties in my organizations and the right people that do it. So I actually don't look at my email. If you knew me in 2021, I could be on an addicted to email show, right? Literally, I'd be coming home with my family. Like, I got to check something. I'd hide in the pantry looking at my email. Give me a minute. I got to check this, right? So I was fully addicted, and it was bottlenecking the organization. And I didn't realize it. And so they handle my emails, calendar focus. And I want to share this because they saved me from me. Like, a lot of people might experience, hey, can I get 20 minutes of your time, Stephen, on a call, etc. Right? I'm a pleaser. I would tell everybody in the world, I'll give you 20 minutes. I'll give you 20 minutes. And I just don't have the time. Right. And so they understand my goals, and Lie protects me from me. Right.
Yeah,
Lie's my other executive assistant and really blocks my time for me to hit my goals and understands my goals. So that's what I mean about calendar and focus management. It's not just setting appointments, right? It is another third party saying, Steve, remember, you told me you're a pleaser and you only got 12 hours. And you told me Nolan, you were excited about Nolan's soccer game, right? And having that voice and somebody to tell me every day is very key.
It's key. It's key that Mia gets to be like, "Oh hell no, you don't get Steven's time," right? It's like,
Yeah,
"Hey, you
exactly.
don't get that." Where you
Yeah.
and I, we'd probably be like, "Well, yeah, of course, we want to help." And I think it's really important. Like, if you were at the Moving Time Retreat or a lot of these events, it's like one of the biggest issues is you look at what the opportunity is ahead, and it's a
Exactly.
lot less you don't know what to do, and it's a lot more your mindset and you is the problem. And it's like part of this role is helping you become the better you and really getting yourself out of the way, because it's like it's not like we don't know what to do next. We probably all know a pretty good next move, but we're in
Mhm.
the way. Next thing you know the next move, but it's 45 days later and you've done a lot of emails and you've done a lot of little stuff, but you haven't done the needle moving work. You're arguing this role helps you focus on that needle moving work for your company.
Yes, it helps me get my vision into play and fill gaps. Another thing too with travel, like me explaining to me and Lie, hey guys, I really work hard and y'all see it. I really make up for that time, and every quarter I'll do a family trip, but I want to only focus on them. Right. Before that, I could never do that because I had this guilt to the company. I don't know why. Right. And I'm a pleaser. So I would go into that trip trying to, with all these goals and ambitions as a dad and husband, and then telling my team I'm going to do this, this, and this. Right. And I'd leave that trip, and all of us as entrepreneurs know this feeling of leaving a trip. And you're like, how the hell did I pay for all this, save for all this, plan all this? and I'm coming back as the loser and everything. I'm coming back still needing to do work. I made promises at work. I'm coming back. My family's disappointed. I tried to work, right? And you got that feeling. And I haven't had that
100%.
since, because I got on the same page with my EAs and said, guess what? This is what I'm working for. And they're able in my organization to say, Steve, I know what you're worried about. I'm going to be checking in. Just give me one call a day and I'll pass the information. Right. And so they've allowed me to change a lot in my life just in that calendar management. I'll move on to VoIP, and we use Dialpad, and you know how important this is, Travis, right? You do a hell of a lot of marketing, but it's only so good if people aren't answering the phones or the phone is messed up, right? And so that's always a worry as a business owner that we should have. And it's having somebody in that understand it with you, understand the tree you're building, and watch your back is very key. Mia and Lai make sure everybody at my organization turns in a scorecard every Thursday, right? So on Friday, the managers are depending on what size your organization you are, right? You get the scorecards from everybody in their departments, red light, green light, yellow light, and it helps you know where you need to help your organization. So
Oh my gosh, think about every time you've wanted to do something. Put a one if you've wanted to do something. You're like, I know I need to do this, but then you run out of time. You're exhausted by the end of the week, and you're like, I didn't follow up. I didn't get the scorecard check in. Like that's the reality. Is like they help you hold that accountability. And part of your role as the owner of the company is chief accountability officer. You've got to hold everybody accountable.
You can't do that without visibility. You're just hitting blind spots in your hit on that P&L or cash flow. And you weren't aware that was going to happen. And that's a scary place to be. And that's where I was when I hit that wall and said, I'm doing this for different reasons. Recruiting turnover, another soft spot for an owner. We're so reactive. We're so fearful, right? If I let go of this guy, I know he's not doing the greatest job and he doesn't have my values, but man, if I let go of this guy, my wife's going to leave me. Like I'm going to have to do 2 jobs and work this hard, right? We work out of fear. And I have somebody in my corner who's always recruiting, trying to improve, and always has a backup plan in my organization, right? So I have somebody else looking in the rear view, I guess is a great way to put it from this side. And then I don't know who all has followed Big League Movers or does on social media, but that's not me, right? That's Lai in the background, right? She's the one pumping out content on Ready Rolls. That's Mia. Right. And so my executive assistant staying close to me, my voice of my brand, we troubleshoot ideas. It's one arm talking every day, but they're doing these key things to watch my back every single day. So that's why I'm so passionate and started a company called the Ready Roll on that side, because this is the position that is so key to that got my ADHD self out of chaos. It started here and branch from there. You want to go to the next slide?
The next slide already is the dispatcher.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, right here. I wanted to bring in Mia right here on that side, just talking about the owner side. See, we're another blind spot, right? Is how we have that relationship with our EAs. And so I want Mia to kind of talk about what is that? What are success? What do you recommend I do, or what I do well, that other owners can have this relationship and understand the importance of that?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Steve, and thank you so much, Travis, for having us here. And good afternoon or good morning, wherever our audiences are right now. Okay, so my name is Mia. I started as an executive assistant way back in 2021, in the middle of the pandemic. And the Ready Role Assistant is actually a very complex role, just like what Steve already mentioned. You can see here on the screen or on this slide that there are a lot of things that a Ready Role Assistant is going to manage for you. And Steve also mentioned about his own experience in travel, and own experience in managing his business. And then the goal of a Ready Role Assistant is to make sure that you, after years of working with different executives, the main role of a Ready Role Assistant or an executive assistant is for the executive or for their clients to have more time to improve their lifestyle. This is what I've learned and I've seen. And to bring back more time and reach their ultimate goal in life. If they want to have more time with family, less time with their business, that's the ultimate goal of a ready role assistant. But for a ready role assistant to get to that goal and to help you have more time, bring back time in your life, improve your lifestyle, for the relationship between you and your ready role assistant to work, you as an executive, you need to give time for your assistant to get to know you. We train them as self-starters here at Ready Roles. I've built a rigorous module or program for an executive assistant. It's a 16 module training wherein I teach them all of the all of the things, all of the skills that they need to learn. But it's not going to work, or it's not going to be a successful relationship, no matter how great or how self-starter your executive assistant is, if you are not going to give time for your assistant to get to know you. Because at the end of the day, you want your assistant to be an extension of yourself. You want your ready role assistant to represent you in front of your clients, in front of your investors, in front of people that you meet with, right? So you want them to be an extension of you, but it's not going to happen if you don't give enough time for your assistant to know your preferences, to know your systems, to know how you want things done. So it's very important at the start of the relationship between you and your ready role assistant is that you get on those check-ins with them on a daily basis. Tell them, provide them with really constructive, detailed feedback as to what worked and what doesn't work. Okay. Just to give you an idea, Filipinos, they took they took feedback personally sometimes, but I'm really trying to teach them how to, just accept that feedback, and it's nothing personal. But it's very important to give that time to your assistant so that they get to know you well. Right? Just with Steve and Lai already knows what Steve doesn't like, what Steve wants. Same goes for me. I'm getting to know Steve more as to what works and what doesn't work. And that's what we're doing here at Ready Rolls. That's why it's very also important to take note that at Ready Rolls, the hiring process that comes in, we do have a lot of applicants, let's say hundreds of applicants just for this an executive assistant role, but a little bit less than 10% is the one that only that passes through our training. So we really make sure that they go through this rigorous training. But again, please do remember, it's not gonna work if you're not gonna give time to your assistant. Yep.
I think that's really, really key. I just want to stop on that point because I hear so much of sometimes people have VA struggles, or how do you get to that level with your EAs like you do? And I hold myself to one thing very importantly, accountable. It's not working out every day. I wish it was. I need to get better. So that's my thing I need to start. But it is making my check-in, making my executive assistant check-in. It's not a Slack message. It's not text when I need something, right? And the first thing on my agenda is talking about what I'm frustrated about as a business owner, right? And so Mia has to listen. She has to get on that couch behind Travis' seat and listen to my frustrations, and it helps me vent, and it helps me before I come into my organization and start barking transparently. Because as I've grown as a business owner, I realized that me barking and thinking things and trying to urgently change things has an effect on people's weekends, right? Has an effect on people's lives outside of just what we see in our doors. And so it's really helped me in that scale. But I vent, and guess what? I got 2 people in my corner every day that are thinking about what I was frustrated about while they're talking to people in my organization. So they're helping fill those gaps where I used to feel like I needed to come in there and bark, right? Almost like a chief of staff, if you will. And they assume that position and fill it up very well for me as I've scaled. So wanted to stop on there. Wanted to stop and have Mia talk a little bit about what we can do to really fulfill that relationship. And it's not much. It's really just like any relationship. It's commit, right? Commit to that check-in every day. Commit to a structure of going over your emails, going over your calendar. Don't hide for it. I want to hide from that sometimes, guys. I work a lot. Y'all see me everywhere, and I have 4 companies, right? But man, I could not do that without holding myself accountable to that check-in. the burnout's real. I get it. Right. But every day I'm going to put my shoes on and get to that check-in to make sure we get some stuff done. And that's been a key for me as an ADHD owner. And I know a lot of us are. So now we'll run into the dispatcher. Let's talk about a little bit about dispatching and the dispatcher role. So this is a kind of funny role. Travis, I'll ask you a question because you got into the industry and you probably talked to a company and the first company told you what a dispatcher was. And then how long did it take you to figure out what actually is a dispatcher at a moving organization? Are you still trying to figure that out?
I was gonna say, do I have to say I've 100% completed what a dispatcher is?
Yeah.
It's and also you talked to a couple different companies, and it's kind of we use dispatcher, but it's quite drastically different.
It is. It is. I've heard salesmen. I've heard GMs. I've heard it all on that. But I'll wanted to say that to kind of define what I use because nobody really thinks of a virtual assistant as a dispatcher unless you're thinking a logistics company, right? So I use a dispatcher as my quality assurance, my eyes in the sky, my support for my team that's out there, right? That's, hey, the people that can answer a lot of questions for my team to protect the time of my operations team to coach, right? So they are, think about this, like when a truck leaves the lot until a truck comes back from the lot, my dispatchers are responsible for that time with customer and movers. And maybe they have 10% escalations, but that is a big point in between that protects our time and focus to get things done in operations, right? So they're my net as an owner. I'm not involved in dispatch as much as I used to, and I love dispatch, right? And so I think year 15 out of 17 is when I stepped away from dispatch. And shout out to Jeff DeLeon. He did never thought he saw the day that anybody would be trusted at dispatch. So my operations manager, but yeah, they give me that net, right? They're making sure my drivers are on their logbooks. They're making sure they're doing the pre-trip. We get them to send pictures on the Connect team of the back of the truck. So I know my operations isn't giving them the job details before confirming they have all their equipment. So they're my net there, right? They're making sure the guys are going to the gas station and not hanging out there more than 20 minutes because there's never been anything good that happened for a large group of men at a gas station for over 20 minutes, right? So they're raising the red flag and saying, hey, there's a lot of guys over here over 20 minutes, keeping people on the job, right? And they're letting my ops team know. They're not tagging the guys and saying, why are you here, right? They're saying it's a coaching thing. Can you call them? They're escalating the 10% again. And then so they're making sure they go to the job. They don't get lost. They're staying en route. And they're also making sure that they're getting the signatures of the move at the start of service. Oftentimes we forget who's had a credit card rebuttal that we never got the signature before we started service, right? And so they're making sure those little things happen and the job's on par. And then they're picking it up from there when the guys are leaving their load, right? We even get it to where our guys send a picture of the load so we can see if there's quality assurance we need to do, quality control, right? And they know the schedule and the estimate. So they're escalating when estimates are looking like they're off, right? And so they're doing a lot. You kind of ask what you do. They're relieving operations from the already busiest guys in our organizations from looking for stuff to do more work, right? They're bringing the 10% to them, if that makes sense. And also they're closing out with the customer. I think since last April, we're 83% 5-star reviews on Google of our jobs. So not out of reviews, 83%. I haven't heard it. Somebody beat me there, right? Because I need a new bar to tell these guys we can hit, but 83%. So they're helping make sure the customer understands reviewing is critical to our company. And if you thought you had a good job, it rewards the guys, right? We are closing out to make sure guys aren't slipping and giving away break time, trying to get the tip right after, right? And so they're closing out customers. Yeah, there's 10% gets escalated, but that's how we alleviated operations to have work-life balance, right? And so this has been a crucial thing for that. The next day, they're auditing every job. So my nighttime dispatcher's auditing every job from front to finish. And they're giving us a report of what we need to talk about in what I call the awareness meeting. And that's one of the SOPs I'm giving out, is how to audit those jobs on that side. But yeah, they're crucial to work-life balance. That was hard to find for that position. I was running guys into the dirt in that position. So really good guys. I mean, it's just tough to, as everybody knows, it's tough to have work-life balance. So that's the answer for these kind of three sides. Let's feed the estimators, right? Let's get work-life balance and focus, and then let's get your key players to have work-life balance. And that's where these three roles kind of come to light. So let's talk about the system in motion, right? So the building the people behind the process. So if you have Googled Mia Juan, you know that I have the best onboarder I could possibly have over there, right? And so we built a system to help our organization make it flow from what we've done and learned, and had her build it out for others. So this is how the flow works. The Ready Role Assistant manages the data activator role and the dispatcher role. So the only person you're doing your check-in is with your EA, and it flows that way. So Mia, I'll give you the floor again to kind of talk about a little bit about what you've built.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Steve. So with what I built an executive virtual assistant program. It consists of currently 16 modules from inbox, calendar, travel, household management, event management. But by next year, I am going to have 27 modules already. And that would already include automation, AI agents. So we're providing those things or those module trainings for our executive assistants. Now, this module is what we also, or this training program is where we also get a lot of our candidates, because we want to make sure that they already know the basics and they are always updated of new things like automation, AI agents. I'm also updating that with a GHL training because that's the trend right now. So we want to make sure that they are always on the know of what the trend is in the virtual industry or the virtual assistant industry. So this is
Pardon
yeah,
me
go
for
ahead.
interrupting, but I wanted to also
Yeah.
share the modules she's talking about are so detailed to connect the two cultures.
Yeah.
Mia even talks about sports teams and how she can understand crazy Steven when he's upset emotionally about the Redskins losing, right? And so it's detailed. She even has a module on crypto, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Educating on crypto and things like that, and what might be interest of the business owner, right? And
Yep.
so she
That's
thinks
correct.
about every detail and has built this out, and I'm just so impressed by it. But I wanted to share some of the modules and the detail level that she goes to make sure it is a fit. Unless
Yep.
somebody's
That's
educated.
right. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot about American culture. That's actually the first module, the number one module in the training program. It's American culture, like teaching them or letting the virtual assistants know who their clients are. So that's very important because it's not going to work if we don't know who we are working with. So we start off with American culture. So it's very detailed, and we get the bulk of our candidates or our assistants from those who graduated from that training program. Currently in my community, I do have about 65,000 people in that community. Probably about 20% of them have already completed the module, but we also have a free tutorials available on my YouTube channel, which I have about 100,000 subscribers. And we also get a lot of our applicants from there or our candidates from there. So we do provide different platforms or everything, all of their tutorials, our training programs, we provide them free and paid, depending on, of course, if they want a more detailed one or if they want a free one. So that exists actually, or that training program exists to make sure that we place the right people in the right seat. So we're not going to hire someone who looks like a dispatcher VA and then put them on the ready role assistant position just because we need to fill that position. That's not how it's going to happen. If we don't have an available executive assistant for now, then we really need to look for that candidate in our pool. And then we just have to make sure that the right person is in the right seat. Like I'm currently doing EOS or entrepreneurial operating system, so I'm trained on that. And one thing that's very important there is you put the right people in the right seat. And that's what we do here at Ready Rolls as well. So if you're interested to, have someone who has been trained, who have been going through that training, you can connect us here at Ready Rolls. Or if you have already an existing VA and you want them to go through that training, you can just reach out to us, and then we can definitely enroll you in that training.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of wanted her to share. It does take a lot to have a relationship work, and these are like, so just kind of go through how much she looks for that self starter, right? How important she knows to find that self starter as a trait. How important it is to set it up to where they know the cultural nuances. They know we're going to talk about the weather. They don't talk about the weather like we talk about the weather, right?
Yeah.
But those are things that we know to cover, and we've put it in a 2-week package just to kind of flow. Or it's a full focus. So when you're doing that yourself and you're listening to these things, right? I won't do a shameless plug here, but know the amount that goes into teaching to make the relationship work, to make it work like I've got it set up. So that's kind of what I want to know, right?
To continue on your shameless plug, I think it's very clear that Stephen and Mia, you agree, as business owners, we can go find a virtual teammate. We can go find them by ourselves. No problem. There's plenty of sites. None of us are going to be afraid to share those sites with you. But how many of you guys are going to go actually find this person and put them through a 16 module system to get them up to training, ready to go, coming out of the gate strong? I can tell you right now, you may think you will, but you won't, because it's so much work. And so,
Thank you for the plug there.
yeah, you talk about the return on investment. It's like you have the ability to save yourself 6 to 12 months of training by leveraging a company that's got these streamlined processes. It's very similar to our company. You can go and find SEO people, no problem. But the amount of work and training and opportunity costs to go and try to figure that out yourself doesn't make sense versus going and paying us more of the premium dollar to go do it. It's the same thing where you have this ability where they come out of the gate strong. And so I have hired assistants before. My team is virtual. It's a life suck when you don't have them coming into the team trained well.
Yeah. And you got to maintain it. Like I said, they are nothing without me guiding them in that check-in, right? They can only do so much. So being able to guide them on that daily check-in, and that's how you maintain it. All right. So let's go back to Quentin Tarantino, guys. We started here and now we're back. So now it's a little bit fancier of a slide, but same notion. So wanted to share the story. This is how, in the key roles, by the way, these 3 roles calculated together are $20 an hour, right? These 3 roles, from getting shift to shift and how I got before to after, these are the keys. I got a bunch of different roles, right? Y'all have heard at my organization, I got 16 or 17. If I find something that gets me ROI or helps somebody get work-life balance, but these are the 3 roles that change my organization and change my life to get to those other roles, right? And this is, Travis asked me to do something a little different. I was pretty busy right now, so I was frustrated that he doesn't like my dog and pony show that I usually do. I'm thankful for him having me do this. But I wanted to share the detail. I wanted to share how I got there, if I set this system up, what I'm building, and thank you for giving me the platform, Travis, to do that and stepping me out of my comfort zone on that.
My pleasure.
You got to give away some of your secrets, buddy. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's I want to go to Q&As, but do we want to go Q&As and then let's roll into the next slide. I think the next slide is how somebody can let's go to that. I thought the next slide was how someone can get in touch with you, but let's go through this real quick.
Yeah, so it's just how the 3 roles work together, right? A data activator role to kind of bring it back in, lead capture and lead reactivation. You get ROI on revenue. Ready role assistant, you get ROI on time. That's, you use that for estimator coordination, KPI tracking, you're following up, your show and close rate, your phone VoIP metrics, right? And your dispatcher VA. And that's your job launch and your cost control. So that's your margin retention. That's making sure your sanity is there and your team's sanity there. And they have that professional standard that we know they get off the tracks, it's self-sabotage, right? And so everybody's staying there. And that's the sanity checks. That's how you go from chaos to rhythm in that regard, as I like to say.
Love it. Okay.
And do we want to talk about the slides? I mean, the how you're giving the speed to leader. You want to do that after the Q&A?
Let's go how we're doing that. Then let's go how they can contact you. And then there's a lot of questions, so I want to save some time for that.
Okay.
So let's go through that process and then how they contact you.
Okay, well, cool. Travis asked to kind of bring something to the table for all of the webinar users. So we're going to send right after this webinar, speed to lead guide, and how I have my executive assistant kind of watch that metric, knowing how important it is and knowing sales is there. And Travis has a big smile because he knows those leads he brings, how important that speed to lead is. Really good SOP too. I had Smart Moving, Move It Pro, Move Gistic, Super Move. They all shared their insights on how to do that. So it's a really good SOP. Wanted to say sign up for movifiednation.com. That's our newsletter and masterminds that we're starting there, groups that kind of bring together the listeners of Movified. And thank you, Travis, for sponsoring and giving us an opportunity to do that. But if you sign up for start.movifiednation.com, right, add the start to it. If you sign up for our newsletter, you're going to get 3 SOPs. And that newsletter is going to give you a speed to lead guide. It's also going to give you my game tape review. So I'm going to give you my 17 years how I created the game tape review to audit jobs on a daily basis. And then it'll also share with you how to collect. What do you do when somebody doesn't want to pay, and how do you avoid that in the future? So 3 key SOPs that my VAs execute to help me out, and some challenges we all have. And of course, readyrolls.com, right? Come on there, schedule a consult, right? Talk to us about what your challenges are in your business, right? And we've done it. We'll listen. You'll get something out of it from just the experience that we have. And then let's custom fit you an EA to change your life. An EA starts at $7 an hour. We have a one-time fee to do what we do. And a data activator role is it's $5.75 an hour, and we place you own the relationship. But I like to have it, you think about it, it's $1,000 a month, because I want your thought as seeing as ROI, right? What is my cost of this for them to produce more, like a marketing tool almost, right? And then the dispatcher role is something that we're working on refining right now and should be coming before the end of the year on that side.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. If you guys can take some time, put in the comments a thank you for both Mia and Steven, not only for sharing all this, but that speed to lead giveaway was gun pointed at Steven to do. And that is something that he has spent a lot of money, time, and effort on. That's not, it really shouldn't be a free giveaway, but he's being super generous with this, on top of it just being his time, energy, and effort that he's giving to you guys. The activation, the execution of putting this in place is a massive return on your investment. And I'm going to speak selfishly here. We are a digital agency here. One of the hardest parts when we onboard paid ad clients, even SEO clients, but let's just focus on paid ads. These are high demand, high volatile war zone leads. And if you don't have speed to lead, you will lose the game. The only winner will be Google in that situation. And so if you don't have this put to place and put into your business, you will lose the game and Google will make all the money. And we want some of that money to come to us. So I really appreciate you guys sharing that SOP with us. And I want you guys to understand how valuable that is and the return on investment that if you put this in place that you can do. And if you're sitting here going, I don't know, I don't have the time to put it in place. Have you heard of Ready Rolls? Like, that's the whole point of this situation.
Yep. I built it for the man on fire because I've been the man on fire, right?
Exactly.
And so nothing's assumed in your time for this.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate it. This is, we're owners, everybody, and I want to bring this reminder, then we'll go to Q&As. But Steven used the words filling gaps. soft spots. You want to intentionally create a company that is increasing in value. You want to intentionally create a company. Well, how do you do that? Well, you look for your soft spots. You look for where you need to fill gaps, and you intentionally fill those gaps. And that's part of why this is here. It's so important. Like this is not just to go through and talk about random roles to spend on a teammate to do this. These are critical roles in your business that you need no matter what. Whether you have somebody next door doing this for you, or whether they're halfway across the world, you need these positions no matter what. I think Stephen and Mia, you would argue it would be kind of asinine and not a good business decision to spend, $100,000 on someone in the U.S. or $60,000 on someone in the U.S. for something that ultimately we can have a little bit of a salary arbitrage. Also, and we're going to get into some raw and real questions. Also, you guys listen to Mia talk, like these are she's talking like a leader in a company. She's not talking like she's never done this before. And I think this is a myth that a lot of people have. And Mia, we'll go into this in a second, but it's a myth that, people if you're not in the USA, you don't know how to run a company. You don't know how to be a leader. You don't know how to, and it's just such a myth that needs to be debunked right now, And so this is your opportunity to lean into that and fight against that.
Yeah, that's right. It's a myth. I think the virtual assistants in the Philippines, they really excel because of the partnership that they have with their clients. Like what I mentioned earlier, for your assistant to really grow in the role, you need to give time to your assistants to get to know you. I I became this confident because of what I learned from my previous client. I became a really good executive assistant because I learned so much from my own executive. Because my own executive gave time to teach me, oh, this is how I want my company run. This is how I want my inbox to look like. This is how my calendar I want to look like. And knowing all of those things from my client, that's what happened. This is where I am right now because the time and effort that my executive gave to me when I started as an executive assistant. So your EAs or your assistant or virtual assistants will get to this position of confidence, of executive presence, sounding like they are you if you give enough time for them to get to know you and get to know your processes and get to know your systems. So that's critical, especially in the beginning. A little bit of patience, a lot of feedback sessions, and you'll definitely find an assistant who is as confident as I am. And you can find all of them here in the Philippines.
I
Just
love
shame
that.
plug there.
I love that.
Yeah,
Well, let's
if,
go.
if I could add on, because you know me, Travis, I got to, and Mia's laughing too. But if I could add on, I think that's a big thing that I've tried to tackle in onboarding is that I hear people that say, I just don't know if they have the capacity to do this, and I don't know if we're recruiting in most of the virtual assistant world. If you're looking hard enough and verifying, they have degrees. So educated, there's some like Mia and Lai are smarter than I, right? And it shows. But at first, they have to uneducated wise, but at first they have to like thank you, Travis, for saying giving myself a little credit there. But they are also they're so educated. But the gap is it's not capacity, guys. It's giving them the chance to understand something they've never had to understand before. And that's the big misconception, I think, in that side. That and doing a little bit of time in recruiting.
Yeah. Well, let's go into some spitfire questions here. Number one, at the beginning, we had one said, Stephen, what updated ROI are you seeing with your data role?
It's I think one of the lower ones. So one of the things we do too is it's a newer position. We've case studied it with big league movers and some other studies, and we're at $767,000 just based on leads from what we call the scouting report, doing it on a year. Obviously, that's taken time to master, right? But we're seeing guys get jobs almost immediately in the 25 to 50 range on the first month. So after the 2-week onboarding, we're seeing the first 30 days. Now, one of the key things that we're doing is we want them to send an ROI report every week for USA home listings costs, their VoIP cost, and their cost. And right, that report is going to not just you as the owner. We want that report going to Mia because we want that pressure of that job and the self starter to think of ways to get that ROI report up. So knowing the culture, if we have one thing to report, damned if they mess up that one thing to report. They're going to get very creative in how they do that, and we're right there to give continued support if they are a little bit behind the curve.
I love that. That's so great.
Yeah.
And we've answered this, but if you've already got a VA or an EA, they can go through the program that they've already got,
Yeah.
and they can work with the Ready Rolls team to get them up to speed. And so that is, to to me, that seems like crazy of a great offer, to be able to do that. And is there a cost to that, or is that all dependent?
There is a cost. Just DM us on that and see what kind of modules you're looking for. We'll see your challenges on that. But yes, there is a cost to that. But it's
Good.
not. It's that's a direct to Mia cost, right? That's not a. That's a. Mia's program is hers, and I try to support it because it's a win-win for both of us. Like we get great self starters. We get to look at those self starters and say who finished this course the fastest,
Yeah.
who invested in themselves. So she charges for her course over there. And we'll get you tied up to how to get set up for that.
Cool. And then somebody said, as an ownership team, we have different people. Should there be a dedicated EA for each team member or personality?
I'll let Mia handle that. You're stretching somebody thin a little bit, in my opinion, depending on how big you are. But I'll let Mia kind of share her insight on that, being on the other side, because we're known to stretch on our side.
Yeah, so thanks for that question. So if depending on the team that you already have, so if you have like a dispatcher VA and then you also have a data activator or you have other VAs in different departments, you can have someone like a chief of staff or an executive assistant to manage all of them so that you can just continue to be the visionary of your business and you're not the one actually managing those people. So it's important that you have, like what I mentioned earlier, an extension of yourself so that you can have more time to focus on being like that, the visionary, thinking of bigger things, thinking of the goal. And then you have your executive assistant or your chief of staff to execute all of your visions. She's the one, he or she is the one who is going to fix all of the chaos, all of the ideas that you have in your mind. He or she is going to be your second brain to make sure that it's executed and all of your other virtual team is doing their job. Instead of you being like micromanaging each and every member of your team, you have that executive assistant to do that for you. So that's the ideal, especially if you have, of course, the budget and you want to have more time for yourself and you want to have improved lifestyle and all of those things. Then that's really the ideal way to do this. Have what is a chief of staff of an EA or an operations manager to manage all of your team, virtual team.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Another question says, do you find if I build an SOP about the people in my city, how they act, how they talk, and give that to the VA, would that be a good idea in helping coaching them?
Yes,
100%.
definitely. Yeah.
Yes. I was gonna make a joke earlier. Y'all know me in Memphis, right? And some of y'all do if you listen to Movified. So I was gonna make a joke earlier at the new modules we're rolling out that Mia's working on. She has 1.1, the United States culture, and then who are these people from Memphis, right? So I would 100% recommend that. And understanding who they're talking to on your behalf is very key.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, one of the things, Mia, if you don't mind me being a little real and raw here, and it's not meant to be offensive in any way, but I think there's some beliefs that I'd love to break down with some people that are here. My whole team, outside of the people that are directly working like on sales and customer service, my whole team's overseas. And one of the things I love about Ready Rolls is it's not called virtual assistant role. It's not called cheaper labor role, right? And I love it's like, as owners, our job is to find the right roles for our company to create value and fill them with capable people to do that. I don't care whether they're in the Philippines right next door or living under a rock. It doesn't matter to me. Are they capable enough to fill those roles? And there is an advantage that we get to have some salary arbitrage, that we get to go to the Philippines and get a cheaper salary. But what I want to kind of bring up, and then I'll ask the question is, cheaper salary is not cheaper labor, is not less quality people. It's just a salary
Yeah.
arbitrage. No matter what the price is, our job is to fill that role appropriately with capable people. And so
Mm.
one of the things I kind of want to just get some of your insight is there is some beliefs like, oh my gosh, I'm paying somebody $7, $8, $5 an hour. I can't do that myself. That's wrong. It's not fair. It's icky. Can you just share a little bit of it and break that down and kind of share the reality and what the situation, both good, bad, and in between? But I'd love to share that for the people that are here that potentially are afraid to ask that or bring that up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So great question. When you
Yeah.
mentioned about dollars, so and is of course the difference between the rates in the US and the rates here in the Philippines. So great thing with Ready Rolls is that we start our rates at $5 per hour and up. And that's a really good rate here in the Philippines because you have to understand that the cost of living is totally different from the cost of living in the US. Um, having someone work at $5 per hour for a beginner role is a competitive rate already here in the Philippines. Make sure you don't go under that because that's really I don't advise that also. And the community that I have, I really tell them don't accept any offers below $5 an hour because that doesn't equal to the amount of work that you're going to do. So if you're starting off, you start off at $5 per hour. And you can already get someone who is really good, who is really capable, who is trained. If you are very specific with a college degree, you can also look for somebody like that. It's a great starting rate, but you also have to make sure that you include an increase on a yearly basis to your VAs so that they get motivated, right? So it doesn't mean that you are paying a Filipino $5 per hour. It doesn't mean that you're going to really get someone who's really bad at what they're doing. Like you have to spend a lot of time to train them. No, you really just have to make sure that at $5 you get someone who's a beginner, someone who you need to train a little bit. And that's the great thing with Ready Rolls. We already prepare them for you. And then they will improve as they work with you. But yeah, it doesn't equate to not being a good VA or a good team member. It's just really you have to understand the difference between the cost of living. And with that rate, we're doing good. Just don't go below $5 per hour.
And
Hmm.
I want to share too, because a lot of I'll, I'll
Mm.
I'll toot my own horn here, but there's a reason Mia and I are together, and it's because she likes the model, right? And
Yeah.
it's not the management model where somebody is charging somebody $15 an hour and paying four,
Mm.
right? And having rotation. So that is, that's how we're able to
Oh,
get talent, having that
I
and
love that.
having that relationship and being a placement instead of a management service is. And can you just kind of share from your perspective why you came to Ready Rolls in that regard and why that's important to get
Yes.
talent and keep talent?
That's a great thing that you shared that, Steve,
Mm.
because what I always tell when they ask me, why did you join Ready Rolls? The thing that I love about Ready Rolls is it's a placement company. The virtual assistants work directly with the client. You will pay your VA in full. Okay, the company or Ready Rolls do not get like a percentage out of what you're paying your VA compared to other virtual assistant company that actually get more out of the rate compared to what they're providing the VA. Like for example, a virtual assistant company will be charging you, let's say, $3,000 a month, and they give the VA $700 out of the 3,000. So we don't do that, and that's what I love about working with Ready Rolls because um this is what my advocacy is for my fellow Filipinos is for them to really find a good client or be a part of a virtual assistant agency or company that would really pay them well, that would really give them what they need, right? So and what they're worth. And that's what I love with Ready Rolls. That's why I'm very happy that I'm now with Ready Rolls.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
and just too on your own. Like if you're not even using Ready Rolls, get off that management and get that relationship on one and one, and you will
Mhm.
see a different long term work ethic. Looking for
Mhm.
it to stay for a longer time on that side.
Yeah, and I will say this again, Stephen. I like being a little bit more real and raw. The
Mhm.
business model of placements for the way Steven and me are running Ready Rolls, in all intents and purposes, is not as sexy of a business model as them charging you the rates and then underpaying. And that is Stephen bringing in the value to this industry, to you guys, because it's not as sexy of a business model. And I love
Well, it's
that because
hard.
it's
It's a
it's
lot harder
focused
model.
on the value. It's a very hard model, but it's something I appreciate myself because I hate with a passion that middle management. But again, closing that book with Mia, again, the job is not to go and find cheap labor just to find, we want to find capable people. There's a benefit that we can get capable people out of salary arbitrage. And again, just like with your US employees, you've got to pay fairly, compensate for value, and incentivize behaviors through that compensation. And
Correct.
it's the same thing you're going to do with your US employees, with your African employees, with your Filipino employees, like wherever. And so that's just a real part of it. So we got one more question and we can land the plane. Ty said we had an accountability issues with an onboarded VA, not ready roles. And they would disappear from time to time. And after two of those, we let them go. Is this something that is eliminated with ready roles? I've got a few. I'd love for you guys to answer kind of your thoughts on that.
I'll let you take it, Mia.
Yeah, sure. So with Ready Rolls, we do have systems in place. Like we have um a time tracker, and then from the time tracker, that's where you will actually you will be onboarded as a client, and the VA will be onboarded there as well, and that's where all your payments go through the time tracker. And the time tracker is the one that holds your virtual assistant accountable in all of their actions, in or their daily responsibilities with you. I'm not saying 100% we're not being ghosted, but we have those systems in place because we've already identified this years before, that there are a lot of instances that some people or some virtual assistants will disappear. But the thing is, the reason why most virtual assistants disappear, because they know that they cannot do the job. And then it's like, if you, let's say, hire from directly a VA, and you think that they are good, you've checked their resume, and you think, okay, this is a good fit, okay, we're fine, let's hire this person. But then when they come in and they realize that they can't do the job, they'll just ghost you and they'll just disappear. And that's what we're eliminating here with Ready Roles. That's why they go through what's this, our recruitment process, our screening process, so that we can eliminate this trend before. And then we have those systems in place, like our trackers, wherein we see what they're doing, and then we hold them accountable for that. And then that's where we lessen the ghosting the ghosting VAs. Right,
Yeah.
In the
Steve?
first 2 weeks, I think it's key. As a placement service, I view our job as not a speed job, but as we are using our expertise to get you a long-term hire. And so I'm constantly teaching our onboarders to look, and we're testing. So I know people will get in there and say, this onboarding, I want to do this, and this different. And we're going to tell you no, because we have tests in our onboarding. We don't want you to get involved during the onboarding. Right. We're going to have you involved in a planned way, but we don't want you giving them email management and giving them tasks during that 2 weeks. And the reason is we're testing them. We want to see if they are going to do these exercises, and we want to get involved and say, hey, we know the culture. We know we can have an opportunity at this time in onboarding to let them know it's not a pleasing culture. We want a truthful culture, right? And to look for those red flags. And then you might hire us, and in the 2-week onboarding, we play the numbers as the experts. You might fall in love with somebody. We don't suggest it, because if
Yeah.
on day 3, if somebody's coming in late, we're going to tell you, hey, we got a pool of people that want this job. And just by numbers, long term, we're trying to protect your time after the 2 weeks. So I don't mind going 3 or 4 times in our pool before it gets to you spending your time. That's my goal. Is the biggest gut check in this is when you have an EA for 6 months and y'all are in a rhythm, right? And then something comes out where it doesn't work out. So that's what we're trying to do, is get you that right person with the best odds of that not happening to you. So our
Yeah.
only key on that, and I try to tell them, I know it's never good news to call and say, hey, this EA, we noticed this and we recommend going a different direction in the onboarding.
Yeah.
But I want to remind our clients and our staff every day, is that's what you paid us for. We're in it for the long term.
Correct.
right? And that may not be perfect, but if we see something, we're going to tell you that right away. And we also recruit only people that want to work for one owner. A little bit harder on an appointment setter sales guy, just like here, right? But we're looking for somebody that wants to work with one owner long term,
Mhm.
right? And so that's one of the things we're trying to vet. And if we see something different, we're checking Upwork to make sure they're not running any active projects. We're checking other places like Upwork to make sure they're not working other projects. And then the first 2 weeks, we're checking out those screenshots intently. And if they have another American number, what the heck is an American number calling at 3 a.m. over there for? We know they're working for somebody else. So we're looking for those things. And I suggest that's what you guys look for. There's no other reason besides your business an American number should be calling during their shift. So ask questions when you see it on their screenshots.
Yeah, and again, it's just like any other role in your company, right? You might have something that comes up where the car breaks down and they can't get it to work, or a typhoon comes in and knocks out the internet for a day. Those are things that are outside the control. But if somebody's not showing up, just like in real life, you're going to have a conversation with them, and if it continues, you're going to let them go. Same process works. We're just in a different time zone. So,
Yeah.
thank you guys
Right.
both for being here.
Thank you.
Mia, Steven, thanks for making this happen. Everyone, thank you for spending your time. I know we went long. I hope it was a valuable Q&A. We've already got people saying thank you. So yeah, we've got your information. If you guys have a VA and need them to get trained up, reach out to Ready Rolls. If you don't have one and you're going, this may be my next thing I need. I need this help. I need this role. I need these processes. It's kind of a win-win. You can get the processes and the roles all in one swoop, and you get way, way, way faster implementation. You lose that opportunity cost. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you sharing and opening the doors a little bit.
I got one more.
Thank you.
One more.
My other engine, I got to give a shout out to. She's not on the call, but I got to give a shout out to Lai. She makes all these
She's
things happen
here.
for me in my schedule. So shout out
She's
to
on the
Lai, and
chat
thank
room.
her
Yeah.
too, if y'all don't mind. I'm sure some of you have talked to her.
Shout out to Lai.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. We will see you guys next month. We've got our final webinar for 2026. Hope to see you there. Look for the emails and texts. Reach out to them, ask questions. They're available. Thank you all again for joining. Mia, Steven, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.